In this video we're going to take the island that we created in the last two episodes and we'll be adding some labels to it in Affinity Designer. My name is Glynn and welcome to Role-Playing Cartography. Hi, so we're back in Affinity Designer now, and what we've done is created a drawing the same size as the file that we used in ArtRage and both in Photoshop, 8.5 inch by 11 with a 0.125 inch bleed all the way around. So what we've done is we've dragged the image in that we created in Photoshop, which is a TIFF file, and we've dumped it in there and we've locked it with the padlock tool. So now that can't be moved. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is create a town or a capital icon. So let's say we have a circle. I held down, I've got the ellipse tool here. If I just click and do that, it becomes an ellipse of varying proportions. But if I hold down hold down shift, it will become a circle. So if I do that, we'll make that a white fill. Get rid of this one. I'm going to select it again, copy, paste. So I've got a duplicate on top of it. I'm going to hold down Control and Shift and drag, and you'll see that it alters the scale about the center of the object. I'm then going to switch these round so it's black fill with a white outline, and switch the white outline off. Okay, so I'm just going to make that center bit a little bit bigger. Okay, a bit smaller. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. So if I select those two and group them, I'm going to do something that's a little bit of a feature of Affinity Designer. So I'm going to, this is your symbols window here. If you go to window and symbols, you can open it up. With that group selected, so anything in that folder, which is the two circles, with the group selected, I'm going to create, click that create button. You'll see now I have a symbol which I can rename. We'll call that city. And let's say I want to drag another city there, another city here, and we'll have another one there. Okay, now there's one very important feature that this gives us. If we decide to make a change to this icon, let's say we're going to change that circle for a star, we go into this particular version of the symbol, we delete that, we get the star tool, we draw a star and we place it. If I hover here, it should find the center for me. There we go. Not quite there. Another way of finding the center is to select two objects, go to here, align in the center that way, align in the center that way. So now I know I got it. So it was right. It still looks a bit odd because the bottom's touching and the top isn't. So I'm just going to manually amend that. Okay, so I'm happy with that. But we zoom out, it's changed all the other ones. That's because we made it a symbol. Now if there's one that you just want to change the one, you can actually click it and detach it, and then that gives you individual editability. So that's just a really good little feature that's worth knowing about. So let's just name one of these cities, and we'll use just type in any old words at the moment so we've got something to look at. Probably use I am fell. It's a really nice font. We'll use the Great Primer. I'm going to call this Lost Vallon. Making up names. Okay, and I might decide that's a little bit too big. I might want to center it and place it directly underneath. Now, if you're just going to use white labels all of the time, you might find that sometimes when you're placing them, they're not that clear because they're on light areas. So what I tend to do with labels, all the labels that I've got, I'll keep in a group called, let's call this city names, town names, whatever. And I'll add a layer effect onto that group, which is outline. And then we just bring that to that. And then I just drop the opacity back on it. So it doesn't look quite so lost here now, because you've got that definition around the border edge of each letter. You could do exactly the same thing with these city symbols as well. So you just go and drag all those into here. They'll get that same outer effect there as well. So with the labels, we could just switch that round so that we have a black interior, and then here this becomes a white, and maybe raise the opacity on that. So it basically does the same thing. So we'll drop another one there, and we'll call it Port Salt. Hello, Glynn from Monkey Blood Design here. This is the point in the video where I remind you to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe, share and comment. Thank you. Okay, now let's say we wanted to add a border on here. So we'll use the pencil tool and we'll draw a border that goes up and over these mountains and then around here, very convoluted to there. Now if we go to stroke, you'll see that we can change how big that is. We can also use the dash tool, and I'm just zooming in a bit now. I like to use this one, which kind of helps explain what these numbers are in this bit here. So if I change this to 2, you'll see that that first one is the length of the dash, and the 1 is the gap. So you could have a kind of dash dot effect by having another dash that's 1 with another gap that's 1. So you get 2, 1, 1, 1. That's how that works. But I normally don't bother so much with that type of dash. So let's just drop that to a 2-point stroke. We'll make the line colour red, and let's say we've got more than one border. Let's say we've got another border here. I'm going to select my 2 borders, right click, group them, then we'll add some layer effects here. So again, I'm going to choose outline. I want the borders to kind of stand out. So here, if I just increase this, you can see that they get more noticeable. Maybe a white outline, maybe even a yellow outline, and we just drop that back ever so slightly. We could even have that up there and then drop the whole group with the borders in back 75%. It's up to you. Whatever you think works, and generally it'll depend on what the underlying artwork is for the map. So there's obviously a lot of green here, and you know, maybe you want to use different complementary colours. I actually think that this works better, 100%, and maybe we'll go a bit orange. Maybe increase that a little bit more as well. So another thing that helps with labelling is sometimes you want like a curved label. So the way that I tend to do this is use the pen tool, and I'll draw a line from there to there. It's just a straight line. But using that node tool there, I can actually just click and drag to make that a bent curved line. If you then switch to layer, convert to text path, you can then type on there. So we've got our font selected. It's basically just now a line of text, normal editable text. We can center it. We can drop it into our city names group so we get that nice white outline effect. But we might decide that actually this is the mountain range, spelled very badly, and that mountain ranges are always going to be this dark brown colour, and they'll always be in italics, and they'll always be considerably larger. And you might decide actually that's just not visible enough. You might also decide that you want a different outline colour as well. So if we take this up into its own separate group, you know, mountain labels, then we've got separate control over the outlines here. So instead of that white outline, we might want an orange or a, let's go for that. Just drop that back ever so slightly. Who knows? Your colours will be whatever you really want them to be. But hopefully that's kind of demonstrating a little bit more about what you can do. You can do all this stuff in Photoshop. I find it really hard work to do it in Photoshop. Photoshop to me just doesn't run that well. It's very slow. It seems very cumbersome. Where Affinity Designer, I don't have any trouble with it. It's really quick. And I think it yields better results for it. So I hope that's useful. Thank you. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope that you found something useful. Why not consider supporting what I do here by heading over to the Monkey Blood web store at www.monkeyblooddesign.co.uk. Check out handy maps, handy A5 size maps that you can use as game inspiration. There's towns and villages, buildings and structures, and dungeons, caves and strange locales, and you can use these within your game as inspiration, populate them for your players to explore and pillage. Enjoy. Thank you.